Hi, welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how I built this tool cabinet for the workbench which I recently built. If you haven't seen part 1 of the video, the build of the workbench, I'll leave a link in the description. Thanks for watching.
For the cabinet below, we'll take some measurements. The depth is 25. Inside width here is 49.25. I want to have room for a shelf below, plus with the dogs, holes, stuff will fall out. This total is just a little, like 24.25. So I think I want about a 6-inch space there. So I think I'm going to make the bottom cabinet about 18 inches. So 18 inches. I think I can do maybe 3 drawers. Figure out the size later. I don't want the drawers to come out too far. So I'm thinking a depth of about 18. And that'll leave about 7 inches on the other side where I'm going to make the panel so that could be able to maybe hang tools or something back there. I think that'll do. So I'll start with side panels. I'm going to go all the way with that, so that'll be 25 inches by the 18. Now the top, I'm going to want it to go full across, so that's going to be the 49 or 49 minus the thickness of the sides. I think the bottom, just to save a little bit of plywood, I'll probably do some stretchers here and stretchers there, because it's going to be all drawers, so I don't need a full bottom. So I think that's what we'll start with. I'll be using 3/4 inch birch plywood for the cabinet. Just setting the adjustment stock guides for 3/4 inch plywood thickness. Now these side pieces are to be 18 inches high. We'll start with that. Set the fetch to 18. Start up the dust collection. Next cut will be the depth cut, which is 25 inches. I didn't account for, say, the drawer fronts, which would be 3/4 of an inch, so actually I'm going to do the depth at 24 inches. So I'm going to recut those pieces. Now we have the top piece and the 2 side pieces. Next piece to cut is a back panel, which will be 17.25, which is the 18 inches minus 3/4 of an inch.
Before cutting any more, I'm going to start to assemble the 4 pieces cut so far. So I am going to use pocket holes. So just mark 2 inches each end. That should be good. Start by drilling the pocket holes for those first, and then after the back panel we'll do next. So let's now drill some pocket holes. Now that's the holes for the top, and now we'll just we'll connect the sides, and then we can drill holes for the back part. So I'm going to start the assembly. I know with pocket holes, glue is not 100% necessary, but I always like to anyways. That 5 inches in. Next will be the other side. Okay, we'll let that set for a while. Next will be the stringer for the top, and go to the top piece for over here. Here I'm just marking for this piece. Which is just under 5 inches. And then what's left I'll use as the stringer for the front. Off camera, I did the pocket holes for this stringer here. Just add some glue. And we could do the same for the other side. So here I just installed the stringer for the front. As mentioned, this will be drawers, so I didn't have to worry about the bottom being full. Now just measure the center divider. 18.5. By 17.25. So I'll cut that piece, and then I'll just have to notch this out once it's cut. So I cut the piece for the center to attach the drawers. I did notch out for this stringer piece, just so I could get it straight. I did make this little piece to hold it in place, so I know everything will be nice and square. So that's basically it for the cabinet. I'll just let that dry a little bit, the glue, and then we'll flip it over and you'll see what it looks like. For the center support, I forgot, I want to put a couple of holes here for screws. I've cut some thin pieces of maple just to do some edge banding to hide plywood edges. So I'll just cut them all to size and glue them just to give it a little bit of a nicer finish. There's their first piece clamped using Rockler's band clamps. First time using them. I'll continue with the rest. I'm gonna put the maple edge banding all around. Now I'm just going to use the trim bit with the router to flush the edges. Just have to use a sander for the inside corners and then I'll flip it over, do the other side. Now all the sanding is done, and now I'm just gonna give it a few coats of polyurethane. Okay, now I have 3 coats of poly on the cabinet. Now for the drawers, and that's 16.5 inches by 23.5. So I think based on that, going to have 2 8-inch drawers here, and a 5-inch drawer, and a 3.5-inch drawer as far as the face of the drawers, and then obviously subtract about 1 inch for the boxes. So that'll be the next step to make the drawers. So here's all the pieces for the drawer boxes. For the shallowest drawer, I think I'm just going to apply the bottom of the drawer right to the bottom, because smaller drawer won't have heavy stuff. The next 2, I guess I'll do a groove for the bottom panel for both the medium size and the deeper drawer. That'll be the next step, to make a 1/4 inch groove for the 1/4 inch plywood. With all the grooves cut, now we're ready for the assembly of the drawers. At least a dry fit so we can figure out the size of the bottoms. With all the pieces cut for the drawers, I'm just going to sand 220 Now the sanding's all done, so now the next step will be to construct the boxes for the drawers. Now in the past, I've just made drawers simply using pocket holes, and then as a finish, when you have the front face covers the holes, and of course the ones on the back you don't see unless you pull out the drawer. For kitchen slide-out drawers, I've done the same thing, except here I filled them in with plugs just to make them look a little bit nicer, because it was for a kitchen. But now, for the first time, I'm just going to try to use the Domino as something new. I've had a Domino for a long time, but I've never used them for drawers, so I did just practice with a couple of pieces. So just Domino in, and then all the way through. I was debating whether to not go all the way through, but all the way through, then you have a look on the edge. So we'll give that a try next.
Before assembling the drawers, I'm just going to put one set of slides on here, just so when I dry fit the drawers, make sure there's no mistakes there, that they'll fit in just nice. The bottom drawer is going to be the bigger drawer, 7 inches. I just had this laying around. This is 3 inches. So I'll just put the drawer slide there, use it as a guide. That way the drawer slides on both sides will be perfectly aligned. I've got to put the drawer slides flush with the front. I'm pre-drilling. I have found in the past that the cheap screws that come with the slides sometimes break pretty easy. Okay, so I'll do the rest of them later.
Check out my link in the description below for the making of drawers with the Festool Domino, which I'm using in this project.
Okay, the next step is to install the finished drawers. I've accounted for about a 3/4 inch space between the drawers. Start by installing the screws on the front. Just as I mentioned earlier videos, if I don't pre-drill these cheap screws that come with this, the drawer slides break easily. So let's start again with using the self-centering drill bit. Oh, these screws are really bad going into the hardwood. So I do have screws that I bought previously, so I'll use those next. Okay, so these are screws that I've bought separately. I'll just pull out the drawer bit to get the second screw. Pre-drill, although I'm not sure if I need it to do this with the other screws. But then we'll add the rest of the screws later. Now for the second drawer, just figure out the positioning of the drawer slide. So again, just having a 3/4 inch spacing. And just kind of eyeball where I want the drawer slide. And the distance, say, from the other drawer slide. We'll just do it about 4.5 inches. So I'll just make some spacer boards at 4.5 inches, just so I can make everything even. Okay, so I've cut a piece 4.5 inches to use as a guide, so everything will be even. Just clamp that in place. Hole. Again with a 3/4 inch spacing. Put in the middle drawer. Okay, pre-drill for the first hole. Place the drawer with a 3/4 inch spacing again. And then try to figure out where the drawer slide will go. Somewhere there, so just another, anything around 2 inches for this spacing. Went through my scrap pile and found a piece 2 inches. Clamp that in place just to hold it. Pre-drill. Just a quick note on these side mounted slides. If you notice, you have all these holes, but found it best to use the holes with the little slot or hole where this is bendable. That way, if you make your drawers just slightly small, these can pull away from the cabinet and give you a little bit of leeway there. It's just so I just use the 4 holes in that manner. And there's the 3 drawers. I think the spacing of 3/4 is just fine. Now I'll repeat the same for the other side off camera. Now here's the cabinet with all the drawers installed. I was debating whether just to leave it like that, but I think I'm going to put drawer fronts on just for the fact that this will be a workbench and there'll be probably lots of dust, and to protect the drawer slides and the contents of the drawers, I think drawer fronts will be better. So that'll be the next step. So I did cut out the pieces for the drawer fronts. I did purchase the cheapest pulls that I could find on Amazon, but I think I might try something. This does stick out. So I think I'm going to try to do some kind of finger pull here. I've never tried this before, so we'll give it a try. I'll first try on the top piece in case it doesn't work out.
Check out my link in the description for the video which I've published showing how I made these recessed finger drawer pulls. Okay, next step is to install the drawer fronts to the drawer boxes. I'm just using these handy shims, which I saw a recommendation on YouTube. They're 1/16 inch thick each. So I just sort of eyeballing, I think that's a good one. I have 5 inch shims below, 2 shims in between each drawer, and I guess about 2 inch shims from the end. So we'll give that a try. We'll start with the bottom drawer, the easiest. Just going to remove this drawer. This way this bottom drawer will be fairly easier here because I can get access, and I'll just plant the face once it's perfectly positioned, which I think it is. Clamp it in place. If you notice, I did pre-drill holes here. And I have, because it's 3/4 inch material, I'm using 1 1/4 inch cabinet screws. There's the first drawer. The same for over here. Okay, so now we have 4 drawer fronts attached and secured. These were easy because I was able to get in and clamp. Now for the top drawer, that's not possible. Now if we were doing traditional drawer pulls, we could drill the holes that the pulls would go mounted on, and then take those holes and use them as temporary screws to attach. And then after attaching the back screws, you can remove it. But because we're not doing that, it makes it a little bit more challenging. So this time, I'm going to try with 2-way tape to put it on, pull it out, and then attach the screws. So let's give that a try. And that's the drawer. So I'll just repeat the same thing for the other side, and this cabinet will be done. Here's the completed storage cabinet to be installed underneath the bench. So that's the next step. I'll remove the drawers to make it a little bit lighter, and then place it underneath. Here's the completed workbench with the cabinet installed below. Cabinet has 6 drawers. Below the worktop, I purposely designed it so that I'd have a space to put tools and keep them out of the way as working. On the end, I have the Rockler end vise, which I love. And below that, the design allows for hanging of tools, or I could add shelves, we'll see in the future. Same at the front, we have the front vise, and below, again, a place to store tools. We'll see what we do in the future. If anybody has ideas, please add them to the comments. Same thing for the other end. As this bench is quite heavy, made mostly with maple, I do plan on putting casters in the future. Now this concludes part 2 of the workbench build. As mentioned earlier, I didn't have any formal plans when I started it, so I just built as I went. Now that it's completed, I'll try to make some sketches and make some measurements and include it at the end of the video in case anybody's interested. Thanks for watching and hope to see you again. Bye.